Greetings, Vault Hunters all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live at our usual time, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mitsu.
And I'm Tess, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
As always, we want to take a minute to thank all of our new listeners on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and those watching live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Steam, or later on the VOD on YouTube. And if you are enjoying the program, we would love for you to give us a big ol' like, follow, or favorite, as all I want for Christmas is you to do that.
That wasn't bad. That was pretty good.
Thank
Impressive.
you. Yes. That's Mariah, right?
Sure.
I think so.
Oh, hi.
Yeah,
we have a super cool guest also today.
We do.
Oh, hi.
ThiccFilA is rejoining the program.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing, friend?
Good. How is everyone doing today?
Good.
Everybody enjoying the new PS5 load times with only 1.5 claptrap dances now?
It's not enough claptrap. I mean, I say this, but I don't actually have a PS5. I'm sad. I'm so sad.
And are you really sure that it's not enough claptrap? Because I'm pretty sure any amount of claptrap is enough claptrap.
You might be more than correct on that one.
That's not a knock, by the way, on Jim Ferronda. He does a wonderful job voicing claptrap. That is just claptrap being claptrap.
I will say, so the last couple of streams that I did on the Borderlands channel were all Borderlands 2 VR, actually. And getting to see Claptrap, like, all 3D in front of me, like he's there, that was really cool. It was very, very cool.
Can you hug him?
No, although, this is going to sound bad, but basically my chat, or the Borderlands chat, was like, you should try smacking him, just like slap him a little.
Oh my God.
And so I tried, and it doesn't work because it's Claptrap, but you can actually punch things in the game, which I didn't realize, but like literally you can just, it's very effective.
But can you then use that punch to high five Claptrap?
Maybe? I haven't gotten that far yet, but maybe.
That's the real question, because Claptrap does, of course, at some points go high five, and you can give Claptrap a high five if you want.
Probably can.
Yeah.
You've been playing Borderlands 2 VR?
Yeah, because there's no Borderlands 3 VR yet, but I hope there will be someday because it's amazing. Borderlands 2 VR is a really good experience. So the only way that I could see chat for a lot of games I have like a different system, but because I'm on the Borderlands channel, to see chat I had to listen to it. So like people were talking to me and I was talking back, and I was talking to Claptrap, and like Maya would say something, and it was just like very cool and freeing, and just like being there. The game, I mean, it's a beautiful game. It always has been a beautiful game. But being there and seeing all of the sort of Pandora snowy scenery and like all around you, it's incredible. It's incredible. Also, bullymongs are terrifying.
I can only imagine once they get up on you what they could possibly do to you.
Yeah, and there's one cool thing that's different from the base game. They have this BAMF mode, so you hit a button on one of your controllers and it like slows down time and changes colors of everything a little bit, because it's really hard to like shoot things in VR and aim.
What is that, a VR feature or a BL2 VR feature?
I think it's a BL2 VR feature. Yeah,
Okay.
BAMF mode is definitely a BL2 VR feature.
Because I was going to say, what does BAMF stand for if it's not a Borderlands feature?
Yeah, no. It's
But I think I know.
It's specifically Borderlands made. So I'm assuming it's also on the PlayStation VR version, which I'm not 100% sure on, but I guess. Yeah. But yeah, you can play it. I think you can play it on all of the headsets. I'm pretty sure. You could definitely play it on the Vive. That's what I played it on, and it's so cool. I'm still getting through it. I'm not very far. It's probably going to take me a long time. But it's really, really a cool experience.
No, it definitely sounds fun.
That's right. It stands for badass mega fun time.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is precisely what it stands for.
Yeah, it's really good. And like Maya, so I'm playing Maya. So I I'll BAMF and then phase grasp, or not phase grasp, phase lock. Oh my God. Too much Borderlands 3. So I'll phase lock, and then BAMF, or I'll BAMF and then phase lock, and it's just like a 1-2 punch, literally, and it's really cool. It just, I don't know, it's a very cool like way to play the game, and I'm just like, please bring this to Borderlands 3, please, because I mean, it looks really good in VR. Borderlands 2 looks amazing. I can only imagine what Borderlands 3 is going to be like.
I wonder in the future when every game is a VR game.
Oh, you're looking way down the road.
Yeah, that's pretty far away.
Oh boy. And I mean, well, here's the thing. VR is a little restrictive. You need a lot of room to be able to do
You don't,
VR, right?
actually.
Yeah, I know.
You don't need a lot of room. So you need a little bit of room. Basically, you need enough room so that you can stretch your arms out and your controllers, because depending on which controllers you have, sometimes they stick out a little bit. So you need to be able to stick your arms out and then turn in 360, which a lot of people don't have spaces like that in their apartment. So you still have to kind of dedicate it a space. It's really easy to have like room in front of you, but not room all around.
Yeah, to the side.
Yeah. And you have to be in a space where, like, if you were to fall down or knock into something, even because, like, there's room scale VR, which you need a lot more space for, but just standing VR, which is the only way that I really can play because I live in an apartment, and also I can't do sitting VR because it makes me nauseous. Standing VR, I'm totally fine. But anyway, I don't have a lot of places. Like, I couldn't do it here in front of my desk because there's a glass tank behind me. So, like, if I was even to stumble or something, bad things would happen. So I actually do it in front of my couch, and like I just move my coffee table over a little bit and then just do it there. So if I was going to fall down, I'd fall on my couch, which is not a big deal. And there's nothing blocking my hands, right? So it works out because it's too low. I have punched my couch once because there was a bullymong on the ground, and I went, woo, and I'm like, wait, there's something there. But it was fine because it's a nice soft couch, so it's fine. But yeah, like you don't need as much space as you probably think you need, but you do need some space to do VR, especially like standing VR in a 360 game. If you're playing something like Beat Saber, then you just need forward facing. But Borderlands 2 VR is so worth it. If you have VR and you haven't played it, I super recommend it. I hope we see more more
bullymongs.
Definitely more bullymongs. I hope we see more games kind of make the jump to VR, to at least port to VR, you know? So like, because VR is definitely a niche, and I could definitely see how a lot of AAA publishers would not want to make a game exclusively for VR because small market, right? Compared to the overall console and PC market, right? But when a game like Borderlands 2 comes to VR, all the people that have already played it would absolutely also want to play it in VR because it's so cool. And you do have to pay for it again. You don't like get it for free. But like I was 1000% willing to do that, and it's been really fun, and I'm excited to play more of it. And I definitely could see more developers doing that in the future, and it would be cool. And I hope they do it with Borderlands 3 because that would be amazing.
I feel like it came kind of as a shock when Borderlands 2 VR came out. There really aren't too many games that are actually doing this. I can't think of anybody else competitively in the space right now that's doing any sort of VR work like that. So it's fascinating that they actually managed to put it together. And it sounds like from you actually playing it that it's not just like this jumbled together half butt experience.
Yeah,
it's like they really did.
It's not like a bad port
it
or anything. It's actually really cool, and it feels native to VR. You know, like they thought about all of the things that would be different or harder, like that's the reason for the BAMF mode, right, and things like that, like all of the things that would be harder, and they have like comfort settings and all this stuff, so they definitely did a lot of work to make that happen. But I think it's amazing that they took the time to do that, and it's a really awesome experience thanks to them. So I do know there are a lot of like community mods for other games that can port a basic game to VR, but that's not the same thing at all as like a AAA developer being like, okay, we're going to make our game VR, you know? And so Borderlands, like the trailblazers that they are and have always been, decided to do it and did a really, really awesome job. And I think I hope more devs follow suit, and I really hope they do it for Borderlands 3 because that I'll like live in VR if they do that. It'll be awesome.
They did it for BL3.
Yeah.
Then you could have the root splash light directly into your face instead.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Moe's players are going to have a field day. Same with the flacker. You imagine firing a flacker directly in front of your face and having it go pop?
I will do it. It'll be amazing.
I won't. It'll have the same effect on me as Electric Soldier Porygon did, which is a deep cut for all the Pokemon fans out there. Designer's Cut. Designer's Cut. It's out right now. You should probably go get it if you haven't already. I can't emphasize enough how good Designer's Cut actually is as a DLC for Borderlands. I'm having so much fun with Arms Race. I imagine both of you are as well, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Borderlands 3 out now for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. If you know you can get one, unlike your hosts here. I don't know, Thick, have you actually managed to get one yet?
One of the new consoles? No, not at all.
Wow. So we're 0 for 3 here on the Bordercast today.
Yep.
Sorry, guys.
Can't
we can't
get
give you the an in-person review, if you will. But from what I've heard, it is wonderful with its 1.5 dancing claptrap load times. Bunkers and Badasses, the tabletop game that we are all waiting for here on the Bordercast, is coming. I believe in March, I think they announced as its date. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
That'll be a special Bordercast episode.
Oh, it'll be a several. That might be a month.
Yeah, several
version. And that's just covering that on the show. And then, of course, Tess and I are working behind the scenes on developing a show where we will be able to have people on the team and a BMDM, if you will, coming on, maybe somebody on the team or somebody from another community who wants to join the community and show off their DM strength. That'll be a nice show for the channel, but we'll see how that shakes out. Mayhem 11, as we've talked about many times here, I'm going to remind you all of it because it is amazing. The fact that you can turn off modifiers now and just go absolutely nuts. Wonderful for your friends who are still getting their Borderlands legs out from under them because they don't have to worry so much about all the stresses of dodging literally everything flying at them. New PS5/Xbox Series X performance mode, guaranteeing 120 FPS on TVs and monitors that can do so. So with Christmas coming up, if you don't have one, I highly recommend looking at getting something that has a 120 megahertz refresh rate. You will notice a difference and you will be very happy about doing so for that particular case. And a patch was pushed onto the Nintendo Switch recently for all Borderlands 2 players that play on the Switch to address lingering stability issues with the game. So
cool.
That one was really exciting. There were some complaints, especially I remember on last week's show, and I've had a couple people while we were doing our Borderlands channel streams who have come in and been like, hey, what's up with Borderlands on the Switch? It's not running the right way. Is there some news on that? And now we can officially say that yes, a patch was pushed yesterday that should hopefully address all of those issues to everybody's satisfaction. Yay!
Very, very, very cool. I'm curious about that 120 frames per second. If maybe somebody in chat can tell me, is that at 1080 resolution, or can the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X do 1440 resolution? Because I know 4K can just do 60. So I'm really curious if it's 1080 or if the PS5 or Xbox Series X does 1440. Because I know like 1440 is kind of like a PC thing, but it shouldn't be. Because for the size of monitors that a lot of people play on, like, 27-inch, 32-inch, even like 28-inch, all of those, the 1440 is like the perfect size. 4K is really, it's like everything gets really small, so you have to make it bigger anyway for that resolution. And if you're playing on 1080, you really don't need like if you're doing a 24-inch monitor, 1080 is perfect for that, right? So if you're playing on a TV on your couch, then you want 4K. But 120 frames per second is sweet, so sweet. So I'm curious.
It's a very noticeable difference. Community manager Noel mentioning in chat, by the way, that the haptic feedback on PlayStation 5 is absolute fire. And that is something I've heard of for the PS5, especially when it comes to Borderlands 3. When you feel the feedback when you fire a gun and stuff like that, woo! That's spicy.
Yeah.
That's what I want it for. I want it for the haptic feedback, basically. Everything else is just a bonus after that. So I'm excited for that. Yeah,
cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So Tess, you were talking about VR. Is there anything else you were doing on the channel or anything else in Borderlands you were doing this past week?
That's basically what I've been focused on the last little bit. Before that, of course, I was playing lots of Arms Race, and I'll be doing more Arms Race. I might do a bonus stream later today, but if not later today, then definitely Sunday evening. And I'll probably be doing more Arms Race and just more Borderlands 3 stuff because reasons. Because cool technological reasons. That's all I can say. But yeah, so I'm so addicted to VR right now. And like when I first played Borderlands 2 6.5 years ago, or almost 7 years ago now, geez. That was the first like modern FPS game I'd played. It was one of the first more modern games that I'd played, and it kind of like set the bar for all the other games I was ever to play for like ever on normal monitors and stuff. And it was a very hard thing to live up to. I think set the bar very high. Borderlands 3, of course, obviously met and exceeded that. But Borderlands 2 VR, I felt like it was like just going with the tradition. Like I had to play that first, basically, before I played any other kind of like story, any other kind of shooter, any other kind of anything. Because I knew that Borderlands would be like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like. Then I can play all the other things and be like, judge you, you're all right, that kind of thing. I just want them to put Borderlands 3 on VR, please.
If you put it out into the universe, it will come back to you, hopefully.
It's so good. BL2 is so good. I want BL3 because BL3 normal is amazing. Obviously, it's my favorite game.
I think given enough time, I think they'll do BL3 VR.
Yeah.
I hope so.
They already dipped their toes in with BL2, so.
Yeah.
Thick, you seem to get excited a little bit earlier when I was talking about Arms Race in particular. So was that what you were doing this past week in Borderlands?
Yeah, actually, lots and lots of Arms Race. Probably mainly because of the viewer events and, being able to play with viewers, going through and trying out the different runs you do and all the different stuff you find. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely been a lot of fun. Playing Arms Race over and over and over again. A lot of people ask me if I get bored. And like, honestly, I don't. Like, I enjoy going around the map and trying to get as many different chests as I can. I want to do a full chest run where I get all the chests in one run.
That's bold.
I don't know if I don't know how possible it is, but I want to try that out.
Do you want to do it solo or co-op?
I think solo. I don't know if it's honestly possible co-op, unless like
difficulty.
Yeah. 4-player Arms Race is so much harder. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point. I was like, maybe it's faster with 4 people, but no.
No, because the scaling, everybody would be. It's tough solo as it is.
Yeah.
With 4 players, the scaling on enemy health and damage is really awful.
I bet you could do it with like. I bet you could do it in like duos or something.
Maybe, yeah. You can also set your mayhem level. So this is something that I think still a lot of people don't realize, because I didn't realize it at first, and I've seen it in like the Reddit a little bit and the Discord a little bit. Not everybody realizes right away that your mayhem mode that you have set before you go into Arms Race does affect the difficulty in Arms Race. So like if you're playing on Mayhem 11 and just kind of running around doing your thing, and then you're like, oh, I'll just run an Arms Race, you're going to be doing that Arms Race at Mayhem 11. So if you are having a hard time, it's not a bad idea to kind of drop down and maybe trial an easier level. So that is something to keep in mind. That, and also if you stock up on grenades before you jump in, you will be full when you're there.
Yes.
That's one thing I love about Arms Race in particular is the grenades. Yes. Finding different good grenades to use is awesome.
Yeah, anything explosive is just so good.
Yeah.
I've had a few runs where I've gotten a Nagata. And oh boy, that's it. I don't need anything else. If there's a like I probably have a decent gun by that point, and once you have the Nagata, it's like, all right, a badass enemy shows up. Okay, chuck 3 Nagatas and it's dead. It's immediately dead. You have nothing to worry about at all. Unless I use grenades. As a Zane player, I don't use grenades typically.
I know. Did you find out he has some grenade voice lines?
He
does. Why does he have
And you didn't know that?
Who knew?
You don't
no
hear
reason.
I wonder if they ninja'd those in, or if they were always there.
They've been there.
Yeah. Because you have the option of not taking a second action skill and using your grenades.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
It's just
always there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool, though. I mean, I love, and I think that was a huge part of the point of this game mode. But also, it really does that so well. It just makes like all of these guns and items and things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily use in the base game shine so much. Yes. Because you might have abilities, or you might have, you might be relying on other things or whatever to do like main base game stuff, but in arms race, everybody's on even keel, so to speak. And it's really cool how much all of these items shine, and it's great. It's really great. It feels really good to find like that thing that's going to get you through.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful. Real quick, because there may be a few people out there in TV land who don't know. You mentioned earlier, Thick, what the viewer event is. What is the viewer event for Arms Race?
Oh yeah, so basically, when you're running Arms Race, you have to obviously farm it to get the new loot that came with DLC 5. And the viewer event, essentially, you take your Arms Race gear and you extract it back to your bank. Well, what's really awesome is the viewer event. Everybody who connects their Shift account to their Twitch account and their Borderlands account, they have a chance to win the items that you're extracting. So it's a pretty awesome way to be a little bit more interactive with the stream. And it definitely brings in some viewers most of the time.
Yeah, I've noticed that streams that definitely have it on are doing a lot better than those that don't. And it incentivizes people to go and watch streams, which is wonderful for us because then you get to meet a little bit more of the community, which
yeah, definitely
super fun. Although I believe it only works for Twitch right now. It doesn't work for any other streaming service. So
yeah, just for Twitch.
Yeah, it does change things a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be that. So I've been doing a lot of Arms Race, obviously, talking about it a whole bunch when I'm playing on the official Borderlands channel. It's a lot of just going there, trying for a plasma coil, not getting a plasma coil, getting everything but a plasma coil.
You haven't gotten a good one yet?
Getting it. Yeah, I think I've gotten 4 total, but my bank has increased in the amount of items that have been in it by about 150. And only 4 of those are plasma coils, and all I've been doing is Arms Race. So that means everything else I have extracted is either a class mod or a Dark Army, a Boogeyman, a couple binary operators, things like that. That's all my bank has in it right now. I can't get lucky.
Have you tried out the operator yet, Mitsu? Are you loving it?
I haven't. And the only reason I haven't is because I learned something the other day that made me very sad. And I don't know if it's 100% true, but I'm going to assume it is based on what I know about Borderlands. So I found out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, that the way the binary operator operates is if you get one with a 300/90 anointment, which I did, 300% damage on any target over 90% health. For those of you who don't know, that's an anointment.
Good.
That damage only affects what is listed on the card. It does not apply to the hidden value of the binary operator. So the way the binary operator works, for those of you who don't know, is on the card it lists 2 damage. Some list actually 1 damage. And if you fire it and it is not a kill shot based on a hidden damage value, it does 2 or 1 damage. But if it is enough to kill an enemy, it will just one-shot that enemy. So in my mind, the way that should work is the 300/90 should apply to that hidden damage value. It does not. It would only buff that 1 damage to 3 damage or that 2 damage to 6 damage if it was on the lower end of the spectrum. And that made me really sad because you would think that if you're going to have this gun that's going to blow people away, that you would have it where if they were, if the anointment said 390, would also apply to that particular anointment, but it doesn't work that way with the damage value. So I got really sad about that. Am I reading that correctly? Am I correct in that assumption? Or that
so yeah, you're correct that it does not work with the hidden damage value. Right. I think how that actually works is I'm pretty sure someone told me this is how it works, is that your anointment doesn't apply pretty much. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change the value, but for example, if you have an enemy that is under that value with the 390 anoint, you will see a bigger number. So I think I think the hidden value doesn't change, but if you reach that hidden value, you can see a bigger number. And then if you don't reach that hidden value, you do just see the tiny number, but with the 390 applied.
I think it has something to do.
It's kind of weird like that though, but yeah.
Yeah, it's when damage is calculated. And I feel like it's a conversation that we had before on the show, and I think it's a conversation I had briefly once in person.
It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's damage is calculated at the time of hit. and not when you fire it out of the gun. That's why, there's the thing, and don't do this, but we're going to just talk about it briefly. There's such a thing as like crit swapping, where you would switch to an Unforgiven, so you'd get the bonus damage on Unforgiven after you've already fired something else. So you could do that with like a lob, for example, something that's a slow projectile. You switch to it after you fire it, but before it makes contact with the target, and it gets the benefit of added crit damage, for example. Not something I ever encourage people to do. Please don't go out and do it, but it does exist in the game. And that is a good way to illustrate when damage values are actually calculated, and it's on hit, which does have benefits depending on how you look at it. But when we go back to talking about anointments, then it's a problem.
Sometimes.
So, and does this need to be fixed for everything? Well, you're going to break other things in the process. So maybe we just throw this one under the bus and be like, oh, well, it could be fun to use if you go back down to Mayhem 0 and you just pull a trigger and everything dies.
I mean, it's possible it could be adjusted in a way that accommodates sort of the way things are calculated. I
suppose maybe.
I don't have the math brain to figure out how to do that, but there are people way smarter than me at Gearbox, so who knows? Who knows?
No, I'm not. Way over my technical expertise right now.
Hey, the operator's what's weird here, okay?
Yes. Yeah, that is the outlier.
What do you need gun though?
Is so just to talk about arms race real quick. Are there so most of the guns, the shields, the class mods stand out. Are there any of them right now, Thick, that you feel don't perform as well as you would like to? Binary operator aside, obviously.
When it comes to guns, not really. They're all pretty strong. There's not one in particular. Let me pull up the list, honestly. There's not one in particular that stands out in my mind that I wish worked better. All of them seem like really powerful to me in general.
What's your favorite then after you answer this?
Okay, so my favorite is probably between the Tizzy or maybe probably the Tizzy, honestly, just because of how it shoots. Like when you let it heat up, it literally just goes burr, like that's all you hear. And nice. It's such a joy.
Nice. I have one. I forget if it's the Tizzy or there's another one that starts with the letter T, and I can't remember the name right now.
Teddy?
I think it's the Tizzy.
Maybe the Hotfoot Teddy.
Hotfoot Teddy?
Yeah, that's it. So that
Teddy, one is hilarious.
Yeah, somebody sent me one of those, and I also have a Tizzy, and I haven't actually tried either of them yet. I haven't had a chance. Like, I have the guns, I just haven't. I've been so in love with the Dark Harmony and the Plasma Coil, which I'm so lucky to have both of them.
Oh, the Dark Army is so cool.
Yeah, I love both of those guns. They're amazing. But I want to like compare the two Ts. So I might have to do that soon.
What's actually is really, really strong is the Critical Thug.
Ooh.
Really?
That gun, it's a little bit weird, and I feel like it's not everyone's cup of tea. So I feel like that's why you don't see a lot of people talking about it or using it. But that thing has a lot of damage on the card. I'm pretty sure it's like 30K or something, and then it also gets 200% crit damage.
Nice.
Which is like pretty crazy.
That's one of the issues I've had. So I have a ×2 Critical Thug URAD. So under 50% health, 150% radiation damage. Is it 150%?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. I have one, and I put it on Moe's because I thought, oh well, this is the perfect gun for Moe's. It's gonna.
And you're blowing yourself up with it.
Not even that I'm blowing myself up with it. It's just I don't know if it's something wrong with my build, which is very possible, or if I'm just not using the Critical Thug specifically the way it's supposed to be used, which it sounds like if it's 200% critical damage, I should be just aiming for crit spots all the time, which is weird for Moe's because why would you? Because splash damage. It just didn't feel like it was pulling the numbers that I honestly thought in my mind, based on conversations I've had, that it would pull. So I don't... Teach me how to use it if you can, real quick.
I mean, I would have to look at your build. I don't know exactly what your gear and skill trees are. Actually, on Moe's, like you said, you don't always have to aim for crits. I could see why maybe that gun isn't the best for her. I actually really like using it on Zane, and I think it would also be really good on Flak, since he can use Megavore to get those crits more consistently.
Yeah.
And just using like a Frozen Heart shield to trap enemies in place so you can get an easy headshot. That's another way to do it.
Yeah, I could see Zane working really well with that, all things considered.
Yeah, that's why it's nice with Zane.
Place. Yeah, and then you go down purple tree and you'll get bonus crit damage like at the yin yang. So
I still shoot for crits on most, but that's because I'm trying to not lose my ability to shoot things.
It just depends what guns you're using, okay?
Yeah, I get it. It makes perfect sense to me. So I wanted to break down something that we're going to talk about this month. The month is, it's the last month of the year. Things are winding down in terms of development cycles. I don't imagine there will probably be many patches. Golden Path, the event that was active since the 19th of November, I believe, ended a few hours ago. So unfortunately, if you wanted to take advantage of it, or you did, and you wanted to continue, sorry, the event is over for now. So maybe there's another event. I don't know. There's been nothing announced about that. So this is a good time to reflect about this past year. And I wanted to have various people on, Thick being the first, to really talk about how they feel about different states and aspects of Borderlands 3 and where we are now, especially compared to where we were on release, and what we can do to continue to push the envelope further to further refine the game. Because I think the game is in the best state that I've seen it in. That seems to be a generally shared sentiment. But I want to see what we can do to reflect on what we are, where we've been, and where we can go. So with that in mind, the first question I wanted to ask you right now, Thick, is just the overall general feeling and sentiment that you have about balancing in the game. And since that's a very open-ended question, we're going to start with just... Actually, you know what? We're going to do skill tree balance. How do you feel character skill trees are right now in the game?
So like you said, questions about balancing, that is really open-ended. I think it definitely depends who you are talking to. Sure. And like, what are we measuring against? Like balance-wise, is each skill tree able to perform in Mayhem 11? Or like, is that the bar we're setting? It just kind of depends what we're talking about. In general, though, most of the character skill trees are pretty good. Some skill trees are better than others for sure. But at the same time, every single character can perform perfectly in Mayhem 11, especially if you have the DLC 5 with the fourth skill trees, which are available now, by the way. But yeah, it definitely, I think it just depends who you're talking to when it comes to balance. There are definitely still a couple things I'd like to see changed, and some other players, of course. But I think that's always the case with any game as well.
So you're opening the floor. Like what?
Zane's green tree, of course.
Okay.
But at the same time, Zane has 3 other really awesome trees now. You know what I mean?
But this is a time for reflection. So having 3 awesome trees is great. Purple tree is absolutely phenomenal. I love Mantis. It's crazy. It that alone makes getting a DLC 5, the designer's cut, worth it. That, especially for you and I, because we're big Zane players, right?
Yeah.
But what specifically about the green tree could they do to readjust things to make it feel okay? Let's go back even further. What about the green tree right now do you feel it struggles in?
So the issue with the green tree right now is it's an overly defensive tree for Zane. Mm-hmm. It offers like damage reduction, max shields. What else is there? There's like the skill futility belt, which turns all damage into non-elemental damage. Dot reduction. There's accuracy and handling. But besides that, it doesn't have a lot of different utility, and it doesn't have pretty much any damage in it at all. So it's kind of rough to incorporate it in different builds, especially with like the lack of utility it adds, in my opinion. And then the distributed denial skill, which is no longer the capstone, which was a pretty crazy change. That skill doesn't really work with many legendary shields in the game. It pretty much only works with the purple rolls, from what I could tell. So if that could get changed a little bit, it would be nice. But I mean, it is what it is for me.
Yeah. Tess, I want to pivot to you. Which character? You've been focusing a lot on Moze, if I recall correctly. which is still surprising to me and will be surprising for a long time because I know how much you love Amara and Sirens in general, Maya. So I wanted to pivot to you real quick. How do you feel Mose is doing right now in terms of her tree balance?
I think she's doing pretty well overall. I know that Baby Bear needed a few adjustments, but he got them or it got them. But
Baby Bear.
Yeah, Baby Bear is the best. And I know it's called Iron Cub, but I can't help but call it Baby Bear. It's so cute. Oh my God.
I was called Baby Bear too.
Yeah.
Everybody likes alliteration.
Yeah. And it's just adorable. And it packs quite the punch now. So it's very, very good to use. My favorite build ever for Mose. So I have two really amazing friends on the team that do a ton of Mose builds. And also, so the two friends are Triple G and Psychotic Wolf, and then also K6 does a bunch of Mose builds a lot. And I love his builds too. And my favorite though is like a version of GT Shorty, which is a Triple G build that includes Baby Bear, and it's called Mama Bear. And it's so fun. And it's just like, if I just want to jump into Borderlands for a little bit, do a couple arms race runs, or if I want to run around, and I'm sorry, arms race has no skills. I'm ridiculous. If I want to do a couple of not arms race runs, but takedowns or a couple of bosses, my brain, it's too early. And it's really easy to just jump in and like just shoot things. I never have to reload. I never have to buy guns. I never have to do anything. And Baby Bear just like runs around after me killing stuff, and it's so nice. It's just a good time.
Is there a tree that you haven't explored yet as a Mose player?
That's a hard question.
You mentioned Baby Bear, so you've put a lot of time into Purple Tree. So what do you typically pair with your Purple Tree build?
Well, so the GT Shorty
Blue.
build, yeah, it's like a lot of blue and a lot of purple kind of mixed with a little bit of the other two trees. I think when I've done one life runs with Mose, I've actually done more green tree. So probably the red tree is the most, if any of them are neglected by me, it would be that one. But I'm still learning Mose. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a commentary on the fact that that tree might need adjusting. I honestly don't know. I haven't been playing Mose long enough. I know Amara still a little bit better than Mose because I played her a ton over the last year and a half, and I also have gone back to Amara quite a bit with the purple ball of awesomeness. So I couldn't help myself. It's
The
so
ball is really fun.
awesome. Yeah, it's so good. And I still love Amara. So like it's nice to kind of go back and forth. But I'm still learning Mose, and I do love her. She's great. So like don't take my lack of red tree love as commentary on the red tree. It's not. It's just me.
I was gonna say, but don't take Tess's word for it.
That too.
That's good, right? Everybody loves a good Reading Rainbow reference. Yes. So, all right. Now we've covered balancing of trees just on its face, which is good. But that's why I want to be able to have this conversation with lots of different people over the course of the month. So the next question I'm going to ask is more about weapon balancing right now. What weapons, and I'll start with Tess now, what weapons do you feel are really hitting high notes for you, and what weapons do you wish would be able to make more of a comeback? And I'll give you an example for one that actually did make a comeback very, very recently that we were very happy about. Trevinator!
Yeah. Oh man, that I mean, I think the Trevinator from the beginning was a good gun, but wasn't like sort of a gun that shone, so to speak. And now it does, and now it's amazing. And if you get one when you're doing arms race, oh my God, you're like set. It's just really nice. It's a really, really nice gun. Or if you're doing one life runs, I do a lot of one life runs. So, definitely a really, 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 really good weapon choice, for that. And even for endgame, it can be really, really usable. And I was really happy to see them make that change because that gun just deserves it. I would love to see the Cutsman get a little love just because it's my favorite. It's one of my favorites.
You
ever.
miss the Cutsman.
I do.
It's a fun gun to shoot.
Yeah,
it's a fun gun to shoot.
I really like the effect, like the slice, the laser slice of Doom. And I don't know. I just enjoy that gun. it cut up a lot of people. Also, I farmed so many of them, and I'm so happy to do it again if I need to, because I haven't done it for the current level cap, because by then I had the flipper and all these other good things. So, yeah, I would not mind going to visit Borman Nate's again. Give me a reason.
The Trevinator is really, really awesome now since they buffed it. The first time I shot it, like my mouth dropped. I was like, what did they do to this?
I got one in Arms Race, and it carried me through the rest of Arms Race.
Yeah.
It's so strong now. And I remember the Trevinator wasn't really able to keep up, but it's so snappy now, and it's just fun to shoot. And it's, I mean, what that gun stands for is just wonderful too. So to see it actually getting a lot more use and being considered for actual builds makes me really happy. So Tess, like that's the high highs and you know, the Cutsman. Do you feel overall though that the way weapons have been balanced now is in the best place that it's been? Do you think that there are some guns that still need a little work? In general, we don't have to get too nitty gritty about it. Like, how do you feel about the gunplay in general?
I mean, so there's a difference between specific guns and just the gunplay. Like, to me,
Sure.
the gunplay is how all of the guns in general feel to shoot. Like, I'm very much a gunplay snob because Borderlands introduced me to it and then ruined me for all other video games. Thank you, Borderlands. But honestly, the gunplay in this game is ridiculous. Like, there's so many, like, ridiculously good. There are so many guns and so many types of guns and so many different feels, and they, like, so many of them feel unique. And that's wonderful, and I love it. In terms of gun balance, I feel like it's really hard to do justice to every single weapon because there's just so many of them, you know? Like 99% of them, I think, well, depending on your preference, all of the guns of your favorite type are going to feel really good to shoot, right? Whether or not they do the kind of damage you want them to do, you know. But is there a gun in every kind of genre of guns that's going to do the kind of damage you want it to do? Yes. And it might be a chase to find it. You know, Dark Harmony, Flipper, guns like that. I love SMGs so much. Oh my God. I could sing their praises for years. And I mean, there's plenty of really incredible, even the Cutsman is not like weak. Like I can absolutely still use it. So I just want to see it.
You must be loving
again.
the plasma coil right now, then, right?
I do. I really like the plasma coil a lot. It's a really great weapon. And
I actually like the burst fire mode on it. It seemed a little bit weird that it fired like that at first, but it definitely feels good to shoot.
yeah. It's very satisfying. It has that like, I think part of it
that
is
little like burst to it. I don't know.
I think part of it is the actual like visual effect, but part of it is also the sound of the gun, like the little audio effect that like all of the guns have an like. It's hard to explain, but it's like this visceral effect. Yeah, it's really cool. So I don't know, balance wise, I'm happy with where things are. Like, would I like to see some guns buffed? Sure, but I can't even begin to talk about how or think about how they would balance a billion guns, and that's not really an exaggeration. There are just so many guns. So I think they're doing pretty great, to be honest.
I can explain why. I actually know because history. I know why you love the plasma coil so much. Because you played Borderlands 2, and plasma submachine guns were a lot of fun to use because those little energy balls, that's basically what the plasma coil is. And everybody loved them. They were amazing on release. They fell off, unfortunately, but they were so cool. Like E-Tech, they were probably the best E-Tech weapons in Borderlands 2.
Yeah. I think I remember, especially early on, they were one of the most fun guns for me to shoot when I like, I'm still not OP or anything, or even remotely close to it. But at least I can kind of shoot straight and occasionally hit things. When I first started playing Borderlands 2, I had only ever played like 1 or 2 first-person games at that point. So I literally was just happy if I occasionally killed something. It was like I was just trying to figure out how the hell to do this whole aiming thing. 7 years later, I'm just like, crits, please. But you know, they're still really fun to shoot. Like the effect that they have is amazing visually, and you definitely feel that like oomph of the whatever crazy kind of pellet it is that comes out of the gun. It's just satisfying. It's very satisfying.
It liquefies, and that's what is fun about Borderlands, when you see somebody get liquefied from a shot, especially at Mayhem 10 and 11.
Yeah.
When you're doing that, you know you did something right, both with your build and the gun that you're using currently. Thick, bud. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. High highs and low lows. Break down some weapons for me. Tell me, give me a gun that you feel is in an amazing spot right now, and then one that really does need some love.
If I have to pick one, I don't even know. There honestly is a large amount of guns you can use right now, which feels really great.
Try not to do arms race either, because we all know arms race, all of them are good.
Yeah, the arms race guns are really good. I'm gonna pick a base game weapon.
Excellent, love it.
I don't want to say the Hellwalker. I feel like that's too obvious. Maybe I should pick a DLC weapon. I really enjoy the Skull Masher right now.
Really?
You use a little bit of you mash any skulls lately, Mitsu?
No. Well, here's my thing. Snipers always are like hit and miss for me. Just that's why I was really happy to hear about the binary operator, but then I heard, certain aspects of how it works.
Yeah, the operator's weird, okay.
Yeah, it is for me, and then it isn't for me. And the monocle got buffed a little bit, so I like using that in arms race.
Oh, the monocle is actually really good to use in the base game.
Yes.
Like you could use it in takedowns.
Mm-hmm. You can make that work. But why the Skull Masher specifically?
So the Skull Masher is just a really awesome. It's like a Maggie as a sniper, with the ×7 pellets. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the ×7 pellets that really makes it so nice. And it just has really strong damage. And especially if you get like a good class mod with like a Jacob crit roll, you can one tap things sometimes. And I like freezing enemies with the Mantis Cannon and then sniping them in the head. Okay.
Oh, you're cheating then. You gotta have your targets live and running around.
No, listen, I play too much Zane. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's fair. Yeah, me too. So that's the high end. Now, think of something that's a little bit more low end that you'd like to see elevated.
The Crossroads. I really enjoyed the Crossroads when at the beginning of the game's life cycle. It was one of my most used weapons, and I used it a lot I used a corrosive Crossroads to kill Wotan's top half, because like obviously you're never gonna hit it with a Cutsman.
I've tried many,
but yeah, that was actually after they took away the pellet as well. It was still doing pretty good for Mayhem 4 after they nerfed it, but now in Mayhem 10, it just doesn't feel the same anymore. No, and I miss the accuracy too. They took away some of the accuracy.
The Crossroads is in like a weird space with like the hyper focus and another submachine gun that I can't remember. I think it was the Devoted.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all in like this weird area, and I think they're all Hyperion too, aren't they?
Well, the Devoted's Malawan, isn't it?
Oh, is it It might be Malawan.
Yeah, I think the Devoted's Malawan.
Yeah, but they all occupy this weird space where it looks and seems like they would hit really hard, but then you use them. And I've even used them in arms race when things are a little bit more balanced around guns only, and they don't hold up. And I'm like, what's up? What's going on?
The hyper focus, I think you could get the same change that the conference call got. So if you don't remember, a couple weeks ago, they buffed the conference call a little bit, where so you know how it creates all those like extra pellets?
Right.
Well, basically with the conference call, I forget how they worded it, but it's something like the enemy that you're actually targeting will get hit by the pellets guaranteed, instead of having to rely on like overlapping hitboxes or like a wall next to the enemy that could bounce the bullets off of them. Mm-hmm. I think if they did that to the hyper focus, it would definitely be in a way better spot. But I don't know. Maybe the damage just needs buffed for all I know.
And how do you feel just in general about where weapon balancing is at this particular point in time? In
general, we're in a really good spot, in my opinion. There's definitely a list of different things you can make work. And I think it definitely has to do with a lot of the power in the skill trees. Like a lot of the characters are really, really strong with just some of their different skills, like, Moses' Skagdon, Zane's Commitment. Like, some of those skills definitely make some guns work that probably wouldn't work. But I mean, that's fine for endgame content, having some of the skills carry you, because those skills aren't super powerful like early on as they are in endgame,
So, switching gears off of that, I'm actually going to go back to Tess for this one first. Because Tess, this is usually one of your strongest areas of expertise, and I know we're at odds with it sometimes, but I do want to hear your thoughts on it. Now we've got 4 DLCs out of the way, and we have Arms Race, which did bring back Axton and Sal. How are you feeling about the story thus far of Borderlands 3?
I'm super, super happy. I just realized I was muted. I'm muted sometimes for the stream, but not for you guys. And I have to actually pay attention to my board. So pro streamer strats. Anyway, I love the story of this game. I love DLC 4 and like sort of what they did with it and how they brought Maya back in like a way that feels genuine without like diminishing her death. They still brought her back to us and gave us a way to like A, interact, B, spend time, C, feel like she still lives on in both Krieg and Ava, hopefully. I hope they do more with that. Like I have no idea if they have any plans for any future story or anything like that, but I hope that eventually they'll like do something where Ava has some kind of talk with Maya or interact or maybe even flashbacks or something. I don't know. I just hope that there's more to that. But I'm really, really happy with where it is now, especially
director's cut, maybe.
Who knows? Yeah, we have no idea.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, we know that director's cut is coming in early 2021, but we have absolutely no idea what's in it. It could be anything. So, I mean, I think at this point after DLC 4, whenever and if ever they do more story stuff, and if it's related to Maya in any way, I'll be extremely happy. I'm not like I'm satisfied right now with where things are, I guess. So I'm not like, please give me, something. Or let's do VR. That's what I want right now. But anyway, I'm happy with where the story is right now. I think it's great.
That's good. Now, Thick.
What's up,
aside
Mitsu?
from wanting more Zane in the story, how do you feel about where it is?
I mean, you know me. I played most of the end game. Playing through the different story DLCs was obviously amazing for what they were for story content. The Krieg DLC was so good. I think it was their best written story content in the whole game is the Krieg DLC, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Just because that DLC genuinely made me feel all the emotions. Like I laughed, I cried, I was happy, I was sad. Yeah. I got scared whenever you're walking through that hallway and the evil doctor glitches at you.
Yeah, that was actually really
they really hit all the emotions in that DLC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of really cool Easter eggs too that I like instantly noticed and that was really awesome. Like Borderlands has done that over the course of the franchise, and Gearbox has done that over the course of the Borderlands franchise, and it's just so awesome. Like the references are so spot on. It's so good, and I love it. I think it's the best DLC for any game that I've played so far.
That's brave. I've heard a lot of feedback from a breadth of people in the audience right now, people when I'm streaming on my channel, when I'm streaming on the official Borderlands channel, and typically speaking, everybody loves Psycho Krieg and the Fantastic Cluck, but they do feel it was a little light on story sometimes, even though it gave a lot of characters that we care about back. Because we care about Maya, obviously. We care about finding more about Ava.
I don't think it was necessarily light on the quality of the story. The DLC was a little bit short, and that's also due to stuff with COVID. Like, didn't they make that DLC completely from home?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and that's insane.
Amazing, all things considered. Yeah,
exactly. But it was definitely, much shorter than some of the other DLCs. Like DLC 1 was very, very long compared to the other ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
DLC
no, in a good
had,
way. In a good way.
Well, no, yeah.
It had so many different environments too. Like so many different. I mean, so did DLC 4 and all the other ones too. They had different locations and things like that. DLC 1 though just kind of shocked me with how many totally different environments and little bits of like story pockets and things that it had. It was really special. They're all really good. But yeah, I mean, like
DLC one might be my favorite, by the way. I'm not sure yet.
that's
Yeah.
fair. Fair.
Yeah, it's easily mine, but
I know it's
I
Mitsu's.
also, yeah, well, I love Jack, and I know everybody says let's let Jack rest, put him to bed, we're done with him. I can't. He's just, there's something about him that just makes him a standout character for the ages. That and you'll always want more, and whether or not you should actually get that more, that's a matter of a different debate. But as just a personal opinion, if I saw more handsome Jack one day down the line in Borderlands, real handsome Jack, not Timmy, real handsome Jack, I would not be objectionable to it, as long as they continued to do the character justice. That's not an easy character to have live that long and have people not get sick of him. And I understand.
I want to see more Rose, because I think Rose is a lot like Jack, because she has that like charisma, and she's a lot bit bad, but she's also very, very good. And
Isn't the Rose story really similar to Jack's, actually?
A little bit.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like, so I think bad guys that started out as heroes in their own minds are very empathetic, right? And
yeah,
so
definitely.
it's like you can understand where they come from. You can easily put yourself in her shoes or in Jack's shoes, really. Like, what would you do in his situation? You know, who knows what you would do when faced with that? And so they're very empathetic and or easy to empathize with. And so it's very attractive, I think, in a good way. So I definitely want to see more Rose.
Did you say Rose attractive?
No, not at
I'm
all.
just kidding.
I mean, she is attractive.
No, she is.
Yes,
she's a badass woman.
I'm kidding. She's incredibly gorgeous. Yeah, and I definitely want to do that cosplay at some point. But yeah, I would love to see more Fiona from Tales. Also, have you played Tales, Thick? I forget if I've asked you this before.
No, but I have watched. I've watched it be played. I've seen the whole game.
Okay, all right, I'll take it. But yeah, it's the story, and I mean we have Vaughn and we have Reese. Why can't we have Fiona and Sasha and Gordis?
I know. I was about to say, why can't we have Gordis?
Gordis.
How come Gordis isn't a playable character yet? What are we doing? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I want to know. Please tell us, or just bring her back, Gearbox. We would love to see her so much.
I think that, but this highlights one of the issues, and I'm going to ask both of you actually how this works, because Borderlands 3 continued to expand upon all of these characters, but also introduced a whole cavalcade of new characters. Every single planet, there's new people, and not just one or two. It's like 5. It's a lot, and all of them are like starring characters of their own games in their own right, where every planet then feels like its own game, except for maybe Athenas, which only introduces Ava and I guess the Order of the Six Storms. I forget what it's called. Somebody's going to correct me on that one, but you know what I'm referring to. And that has its own characters, of course, as well. Is it too much? Do we need to rein it in a little bit?
Why?
Not at all. Not at all.
Because when we how much time do we really get with these characters? We don't spend a lot of time with the B team. And that kind of broke my heart because I love Brick and Morty and Tina.
But that doesn't mean we won't necessarily get to see them again and spend, like, we don't know. We obviously don't know, but it leaves room to tell more Borderlands stories, and maybe some of that will be in Bunkers and Badasses, where, we'll have our own crazy creations of characters amidst an expansive sort of set of NPCs, so to speak, right now I'm in 2 D&D type tabletop RPG campaigns. Only one of them is actually D&D. The other one is based on Vampire the Masquerade and is really awesome. They're both really, really awesome. There are a ton of NPCs in both. And so like one of them, actually both of them, just like our little party will show up in a location and they'll be so many different people to talk to, you know, and they each have their own personality and their own quirk, and they might give you a side quest, or they might, you know, do crazy things. It's exciting, and you never know what's around the corner. And I feel like that makes for a really, really, really good role play and a really good sort of feeling of being in a real universe when you role play. And I mean, all of us role play a little bit when we play video games, even if we're not talking to anybody, like in our own heads. If you think about it, this is what you're doing, right? When you're playing a video game by yourself and you're never talking and you're just like playing solo, you're still kind of like, I'm this character, right? In your head. And especially when you play with other people, that's why we put skins on our characters. That's why we, you know, in any game, we kind of we identify with those characters a little bit, and having an expansive, huge world to interact with as those characters is incredibly satisfying and just gives that more credence and more realism. And it's really nice. So I feel like even though we're getting little tidbits here and there, that's how it would be if we were Vault Hunters in real life. You know, like we wouldn't necessarily get to spend that much time with all of these people, but we would meet them. Like if you go to a convention, you're not going to have deep conversations with every single person you meet. That's literally impossible. But you are with some, you know, and then you'll come back to another convention later on and you'll have like lunch or something with those people and be like, hey, and it'll be amazing. So, I mean, I don't think it's bad. I know that they're telling a story, but they're also creating a world, right? Especially with the Borderlands, in Borderlands 3, actual like lands, multiple planets and systems and places to be. They really created a universe. And there's so many cool things that can happen in that. You've got, of course, Borderlands 3, and Borderlands 2 and 1 and Borderlands 2 VR, but you also have Bunkers and Badasses in the same universe, right? And it's expansive and it's awesome. So like I feel like it gives them more to do in the future potentially, and also gives us more to do and more to kind of feel about it, which is really cool.
Would you, this is a question for both of you as we continue to begin the process of winding down, would you play spin-offs for each of those planets?
Oh yeah, what do you mean?
What does that mean?
So I'll give you an example, because every single planet introduces a lot of characters who would be worthy of having games in their own right if that was ever to happen. And I'm not saying that Gearbox should do this. I'm just putting an idea out there because this is what we do. We put ideas out there in the universe and you never see what happens. Let's say we had a Borderlands game, or a game set in the Borderlands universe that centered around Eden 6 and Clay trying to get the planet back on track. Doing work for the Jacobs Corporation, working outside of Reliance, doing all of those kinds of things. Would you play a game that's kind of centered around Clay, like reforming? What's his group's name again? Now it's going to kill me.
I forget his group's name,
Yeah,
but I know
but
what you're talking about.
But you know what I'm talking about. The Rogues. The Rogues.
Yeah.
Would you play a game based around Clay and the Rogues hanging out on Eden 6, doing work for the Jacobs Corporation and maybe doing their own things also?
I think we would love more Eden 6 and Jacobs.
Yeah.
And we got some more Athenas too.
Yeah, and some more Rose. And whatever she does, wherever she goes, I don't care. I just want to be there.
Rose needs to come back. And when she does, I want her to come back with Captain Scarlet. And I want them to do a buddy pick where it's the two of them palling around doing something ridiculous, because they would play off of each other so well, because Rose is no nonsense and Captain Scarlet is all nonsense, and they're both bad guys and they're both murderous, crazy people. And I think that they would really work well together.
Agreed. Super, super, super hard agree. I mean, Rose is amazing. Oh God, there's so many good characters. There's so much potential, you know, and like who knows what will happen in the future. I know that when I play Bunkers and Badasses, I'm going to weave all of these cool characters into the game somehow, if I can. I've never DM'd before, but I'm going to probably try with this. So
I wonder if we ever see Rose again or Captain Scarlet.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I feel like it seems like no, because they're kind of like side DLC villains. But at the same time, it's like you never know what could happen with them.
Yeah, and I
Because
mean,
they just disappear, you know?
Rose is such a badass. Like I know she's a villain, but she's also just like a really strong female character. And Borderlands has always been amazing about representing everybody. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's really cool to see that. And I just want more. I mean, okay, the complaint about I guess what we've established when talking about the DLCs, the complaint about DLC 4 is more, please. That's a really good problem to have, you know, when that's the biggest complaint is like, please more. Like, we want more. We want it to be longer. Like, I think that's almost a compliment. It's a complaint, but it's a compliment. You know what I mean?
The only thing I want is a takedown of Krieg's mind.
That would be cool.
Because you could do anything in there.
Yeah.
Who knows what you'd come up across.
And
That's
like,
true.
imagine you could have Maya join you for part of it or something. That would be so cool. Yeah. Ember is a really cool character. Somebody in chat just mentioned. I agree.
Yeah,
That Red Cup. Yep.
Ember versus Captain Scarlet and Rose. That's the game. That's the game right there. Ember's the one who sends you out on the missions and does everything, and those two are the ones that you're opposing. That's
Sure.
the winner right there.
I
play
like
that game.
it.
Sold. Done. All right. Before we get to wrapping up and doing all the things that we do, I had one last question for both of you. It's very open-ended, but let it fly. Whatever your minds can possibly conjure. Thick, first to you. What would you like to see in the director's cut? Anything. This is just anything you want to see for the game at all.
I mean, truthfully, a raid boss or multiple raid bosses.
Okay.
Just some more end game content. I really enjoy Arms Race for what it is for end game. But at the same time, the only downside of it is we can't use our new skill trees in there, you know? Which it's insanely fun. And at the same time, I actually also want to see more Arms Race maps because of how much fun it is.
Me too.
But like I said, at the same time, it's not a new piece of, like, you know, the designer's cut came with fourth skill trees and then content where we can't use our fourth skill trees on. So more raiding, more takedowns. But I guess director's cut probably wouldn't have a takedown in it. But a raid boss would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be really, really hype for everyone too.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
It's really hard. It's hard to like choose a thing because I also like, I feel like a cool place to use our cool new skill trees would be amazing. But also, so like definitely raid bosses, please. If that's at all possible, that would be amazing. Or another well, I mean, takedowns are in the base game. So like
Yes.
we won't need a DLC for another takedown, which is really cool. It's really awesome that is free content that they work their butts off to give us. So hopefully there'll be another one of those. We'll see. But either way, in director's cut, I would love to see something like a raid boss, just so that we could like really use those new awesome skill trees. But also, I super want more arms race maps. I want like maybe a different environment. Like imagine a jungle environment or something like that.
Oh, that could be cool.
Yeah, or maybe on Necrotafeo or maybe somewhere on Athenas. You know?
Hey, can I say one more thing too?
Yeah.
Something I actually want to see come back. And we touched on this at the beginning of the show. Bully mongs. I want more bully mongs.
Yeah.
As an enemy. Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I might have PTSD from them from Borderlands 2 VR, but it's okay.
Listen, Donkey Mong was like one of my favorite Easter eggs ever.
Yes.
Donkey Mong.
Yes.
And King Mong.
Underwater. Oh my God. Someone in chat, Mr. Redblock, saying underwater or sky areas. Underwater would be
Underwater could be interesting.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
I feel like they could make it really similar to the low grav maps anyway. So
yeah.
because I remember they talked about how they did a lot to make low grav possible.
Yeah.
Like
That
making
would
an
be-
underwater theme map. Like, wouldn't it just be the same kind of?
Yeah, a little bit. It would be a little different, but I mean, yeah, it would definitely work and be amazing. Like visually, they could totally. Wow, that's a great idea.
So I like the idea in principle because I love underwater maps in any game that I've ever played, but I'm going to just exercise a little caution here in it because I have to be that guy. Sorry, everybody. Everybody loves the idea of underwater maps. Everybody, because you get to swim under the sea. Not going to sing it. You get to do all these cool things. You get to like hang with the fit. Yeah, I know. See, now it's in your head.
It's in my head.
Yeah. Apologies, everybody. And here's the thing. I don't think, and this was actually brought up just in chat just now, I don't think that they would bring back an oxygen mechanic. I think they would just strap a tank to you and give you a snorkel and call it a day. Yeah. Because that was one of the things people did not like about the pre-sequel, was that it was very limited when you were outside of some areas that they had to do the oxygen. It wasn't fun.
I mean, they have low grav on the moon in Skywell, and they have low grav on DLC 1 in various outside the space station places, and you don't need oxygen or to worry about it. I'm sure they could figure it out.
What I stress caution for, though, is when everybody gets that underwater map for the thing that they want it for, it usually doesn't go over well. And my favorite examples are Kedge Keep from EverQuest and Vashir from World of Warcraft. Everybody wanted underwater maps because I thought it was a great idea, and then everybody got them, did them once, and said, we're never doing this again. This is just not going to work.
Okay, so I haven't played this, and I have no knowledge of EverQuest really at all, besides having played a little bit of Landmark. So I can't really comment, but my take on that is they did it wrong. Like if they did the thing that everybody really wanted, and nobody liked it or found it replayable, it's because they did it wrong. And I have full faith in Gearbox to do it right, because they have come through so many times. Like, anytime the community doesn't like something, they find a way to improve it, make it better, iterate, whatever, in the future. Anytime the community does like something, they give us more of that. Like, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention for the last 8 years, but that's what they do. And so, like, I think they have a really good like sort of a feel of the pulse of the community and what we want. And I think even if they somehow did do it wrong, they would fix it. But I have faith that they would actually do it justice, because they went from things that people maybe didn't like in the pre-sequel, but things that people did like in the pre-sequel, both, right? And they optimized it for Borderlands 3. So, like, why couldn't they do that with an underwater environment? I think
mechanically speaking, from a level design standpoint, obviously the physics are there, as you guys have correctly pointed out, that low gravity is the way to do it. You can have somebody and then have them like on the moon too, just have them do really ridiculously high jumps and like look down at your feet and you can see your footprints in the sand, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of cool graphics they could do there too, which I'd be all for. But level design challenge wise, Are they just going to be on the ground? Are we going to be able to actually swim? So would we have full range of motion? Is it going to be a completely exploratory thing? How high can we go? So it's a really big design challenge to design something like that. But you're right, Tess, you're absolutely right. If they did it right, and they could, if they did it, Big Fish, by the way, from Son of Cromarax, Big Fish, and I guess base game too, because it goes after Thanos. Anyway, if you do it right, people will want more of it, but from a design challenge standpoint, underwater levels are hard.
Listen, we already know, Mitsu. It's, all this stuff about swimming, none of that's going to happen. It's just going to be a low grav map, but you're going to be able to see some waves, okay?
Yeah, okay. And some cool underwater creatures, maybe, and
some cool creatures.
I have faith. I think they could do it justice.
Actually, they could do something similar to the bullet riding psychos, but turn that into like a shark.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be so cool.
That's real good.
We just got to reuse all the assets we already got.
Yeah. What about Jolts Dude hanging out in chat saying, "What about keep heading down further and further into the depths of the ocean to find a new Cromarax?" How cool would that be?
That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be amazing. Raid boss for the future, maybe.
Oh, Cromarax comes back there. This
is honestly why we need Krieg's Mind too, because like there's just so much that can be done in there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I feel
we wouldn't need Oz kits if we're in Krieg's Mind.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen, right?
It would just be like there is no spoon. There is no oxygen.
Fish 2.0 from Mental Mars. I like it.
I'd be down for it.
Yeah, a water planet, underwater vaults. There's so much potential. Oh my God.
Underwater vault would be fascinating, but what if we find out through the lore that Iridians can't swim? they just are not capable of it for whatever reason. I was going to say, typically speaking, insects can't swim, and then I remember that crustaceans are very loosely related to actual bugs, so I guess that doesn't really work for me.
Guardians kind of look like crustaceans.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, but that's the point. Like they're based off of the design of the Iridians back in the day, and the Iridians are considered like an insectoid type race.
Yeah.
Which we only see in statue, because the Guardians aren't actually. I don't believe the Guardians anyway are actually Iridians.
I don't think so.
All the Iridians are dead. They're just mechanical constructs that the Iridians left behind to make sure nobody was dumb enough to open the vaults. Whoops. That's us. We're dumb enough.
There's a ton of funny things being talked about in chat. Can Flack swim? Also shooting guns underwater. I'm sure there'd be some special guns.
Would Flack get all rusty?
Yeah. I'm sure okay, so it is a video game. There is a certain level of suspension of disbelief. Also, they can do cool things in Krieg's mind. That's very true. I'm sure there's a way you could do an underwater facility where you're not actually in the water, but it's like big expansive spaces with like a big dome bubble type thing. Yeah, and like the water's all outside you. That'd be cool. There's so much potential.
Son of Cromarax kind of set that standard. You're underwater when you go through trying to get to Son of Cromarax at one point.
Just say Tannis designed some tech so you can do whatever underwater. What was it she said about Krieg's mind? The technology is basically so complicated that it's not worth explaining because you'll just get confused. Like it's so complicated, it might as well be nonsense. It's just very scientifically advanced.
We implanted a microchip into the side of your neck, which now gives you gills.
Yeah.
Sure,
and makes bullets work. It doesn't
makes
matter.
Bullets shoot right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and your shock damage wouldn't hurt you.
Hey,
that would be interesting.
That reminds me, have either of you ever shot a nukem in the Guardian takedown?
No. Now I want to go do that.
Listen, low grav affects projectile speed.
I didn't even think of that.
No, it actually does though. Like, go shoot a nukem.
Yeah. What would that do for Tunguska? Would the Tunguska just like go?
It would just go forever.
Just it goes away. That never actually detonates. Just goodbye, Tunguska. Go hang out with Bunker.
Man. Yeah, the back burner too. It's more noticeable on the nukem. I actually didn't notice the back burner either, because I used the back burner to kill Anathema and Scourge. Like, I'm pretty sure my first takedown runs at Guardian, but I actually didn't notice that it affected the projectile speed until I shot a nukem in the Guardian takedown, and it just like, I forget what it did, but it just went like sideways, and I was like, what is going on here? Or it just went like super far. I forget.
Yeah. All right. So there's a lot to think about. As a tease, as we like to call it in the radio business, I'm actually not going to give any of my thoughts about any of these things until the December 31st episode of the Bordercast. So if you want to know what I think about all of this stuff, you're going to have to wait until the end, but you're going to get little snippets of it over the course of the entire month with all of these episodes.
Is that a teaser?
Who don't? That's the teaser. That's the teaser in the business. You got to watch all month long if you're wondering what's going on in my scarf-addled mind.
December 31st.
Yeah. So with that, I suppose it is about time for us to start wrapping up here, because we probably ran about at least 15 minutes over, but it was worth it because we got to talk
35.
about underwater levels, which is good.
Hey, we could go for another hour or two if you guys want.
We probably could, but as much as I would like to, there are other things that we do have to do on the channel. So
fair enough.
We have this buff right here. But Thick, thank you so much for joining the program.
I wish I could stay for longer, but like you said,
we all have important work to get done.
Well, ThiccFilA will probably be streaming on his channel later, I'm assuming. For those of you watching, you can see it written right there. It's ThiccFilA _ ThiccFila _ for those of you guys listening. It's the same everywhere, right? Is it the same on YouTube?
On YouTube, it's just ThiccFilA, but you'll find me if you search me.
Cool. Yeah.
And Tess, where do they find you?
Twitch.tv /Tessa CHKA. So it's TESSA CHKA. And also right here on the Borderlands channel, I'm depending on whether or not technology cooperates with me, I might do a bonus stream on the Borderlands channel later today. We'll see. But you can always find me either here on the Borderlands channel or on my stream or Tess Games on Twitter. What about you, Mitsu?
You can always find me on twitch.tv /Mitsu, MITSU, whenever I decide to turn on the stream, which is often-ish. Not really. No, not really. No, not often at all. But it happens sometimes, and when it does, it seems to be a delight for everybody, especially me when I actually have the time to do it. Twitter.com /Mitsu Show, MITSUSHOW. And you can actually find me this Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. on the official Rare Drop channel, which I believe is twitch.tv/raredrop, or it might be Rare Drop Co. Let me just make sure I get that right there. Otherwise, I'm really sad. But I will be doing a special marathon that's lightly for charity called Holiday Home and Hearth, where we're going to be just kind of hanging out, and every streamer is going to be doing certain things that they just want to do to chill, create a warm and accepting environment for everybody out there. You know, obviously COVID sucks, so there are a lot of people who are separated from their families. There are some people who are just kind of like alone out there right now, and we wanted to create a space for positive mental health awareness, inclusivity, and diversity for people to be able to just come and chill and just share in the holiday spirit, because it's a rough time for some people and we want to get through this together. So feel free to check that out, that it's actually being organized by the wonderful mind of Snaps, She Snaps Gaming. And my spot specifically will be Sunday night at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. And for me, what I specifically will do is I actually am going to take a gimbal, put my phone in it, and I'm going to be walking around my local town and just showing off all the cool Christmas and Hanukkah decorations and Kwanzaa decorations that people will have in their homes, and just kind of just talking with chat and mellow it out, doing the things that we do. So that's it. That's all I got.
That's awesome.
Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoy the show as much as we love doing it, please make sure to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and like if you would like to. Yes. Get those notifications set up on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, Google Music, soon to be YouTube Music, and Stitcher. And join us live on Twitch at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Thursdays, unless there's a special episode, which we'll let you know in advance. Yeah.
Of course.
December 31st.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that show.
That got me excited, actually.
Say? On behalf of Tess, myself, and the entire content creation team, thank you so much for joining us as you do every single week. Now go forth and make some mayhem.
Thanks.